take questions like always. But I have like a little to-do list of stuff I wanted to kind of just go through as far as the new adjustments with the programming. And then, yeah, you guys all last night or this morning, depending on where you are, received an email from me, which had more detailed about like kind of the good things you did in the first 4 weeks, the things you can improve on in the first 4 weeks, and how to kind of set the table for the next 4 weeks for you guys. Again, I was pretty like honest with people that if the people who are tracking their things, their training, their nutrition, are really on top of things, they're getting more personalized adjustments than the people who just I don't hear back from them, or I go 2 weeks without seeing any kind of weigh-in or something like that. Again, I can't do much if I don't know kind of where you're sitting at. If I don't know if you're getting stronger, I can't adjust your volume. If you don't like an exercise, you don't tell me. I can't switch it out. So again, communication is huge, and I think that people who have been, communicating well with me are probably really happy with how things are going. So just kind of a quick reminder. And I'll get started with kind of the stuff that I wanted to go through and then take y'all's questions. So I'll just be looking at a random spreadsheet here. I'm going to go with my boy Trent. I always feel bad for Trent because he's the last person to hear from me all the time because he's last in alphabetical order. So he's like, Greg, I'm sorry. Okay, so I mean, probably the first thing that everyone will see in the weeks 5 through 8 is that the main lifts got heavier. So like on upper 1, for most people, the deadlifts went from 6 to 8 reps to 4 to 6. Same kind of thing with lower 1. The back squats were at 8 to 10 reps, and now they're at 6 to 8. Some of the assistance work did go down a little bit too. But for the most part, that assistance work isn't going to get incredibly heavy. Maybe like a dumbbell press might get to like 6 to 8 reps or something. But generally, the heavy stuff's going to be in between, for general population, 5 to 10 reps. And then that lighter stuff's going to probably be between 8 to 12. And then with like some fluff stuff, like the curls and the lateral raises and calves, can be a little bit higher, that like 10 to 15 range. So I don't periodize the assistance work as much, but you'll see a little bit of adjustments there. So that's the main difference, though. And again, the reason for being that is just a linear progression. It allows you guys to get stronger. So obviously, you should be able to, assuming you're not losing a ton of weight, you should be able to deadlift more reps for 4 to 6 reps than 6 to 8. So hopefully, you guys kind of built your strength up the past 4 weeks. Probably didn't make huge jumps every single week, but now that you're dropping down to 4 to 6 reps, you should be able to at least increase your training weight by like 5 to 10 pounds for this week, and hopefully increase it again before we kind of do another linear progression. Trying to think of some other new stuff here. There are some optional exercises now. So in the questionnaire that was filled out, I think 2 or 3 people just said that the workouts took a lot of time. And one of the things I wanted to do with the programs is make sure it's pretty time efficient. That's why a lot of stuff is supersetted, like with antagonist muscle groups. So if you see like on upper 1, the arm stuff, like the curls and push downs, are optional. Yeah, that's not a huge portion of your workout anyway. It's probably only taking you like 5-10 minutes. But again, if you want to ditch that stuff, that's perfectly fine. I also have some other stuff like on lower 1, the bear complex I have is optional. So if your main goal is like muscle gain right now, obviously that bear complex is optional. Or what you can do if you're just stressed for time is cut down the volume. So if you don't have time to do 2 bear complexes, because let's be real, it takes a while to recover from those rounds, you can just do 1. The same thing with like your arm work. If you want to just, instead of doing 2 sets of curls, you can just do 1 and cut your time in half. That's not that big of a deal either. So for people who are doing fat loss or even kind of body recomp, I would keep that bear complex in. But again, that's an option. On upper 2, there's an overhead press movement in this next 4 weeks. So again, a lot of people don't have the range of motion to go overhead, or if it hurts their shoulders, Again, for some of you guys, I put a barbell overhead press. You can substitute that as a dumbbell overhead press if you think that'll be more beneficial for you, or vice versa. If it has dumbbell in there and you want to go barbell, that's fine. Just make sure you have the mobility to do it. So that's why I put an asterisk there. So again, if that causes you pain, just ditch that movement altogether. You guys have plenty of shoulder work from a ton of pressing anyways. Then same kind of thing on the lower two, the squat complex, which is kind of almost the same as it was the last 4 weeks, but again, it's kind of a linear progression. So as opposed to doing, you guys are doing 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, etc. Now it's just a little bit heavier. So do 3 back squats, 3 front squats, 2 and 2, 1 and 1. So it'll be only 12 reps, which is what, probably half the volume that it used to be. So those are the optional exercises, and again, it'll kind of depend on your situation. And yeah, volume would be the main thing. I would rather you guys do, if you're kind of rushed for time, say like on upper one, it's 4 sets of deadlifts, 3 sets of bench press, 3 sets of chin-ups. You want to just be like, I don't have that much time. Just do like, cut a set off everything. So you're doing 3 sets of deadlifts, 2 sets of bench press, 2 sets of chin-ups, and that can be a good way to get both a variety of movements. Just make sure if you're going to cut your volume, I would kind of increase your intensity. So if you're only going to be doing 1 set of something, that needs to almost be like all out. If you're going to have to be 4 sets of something, you probably need to keep some stuff in reserve. Again, that's kind of common sense, but that's how I would kind of adjust that if you're kind of stressed for time. Few new exercises. So let's see. The DeFranco ab circuit, you have to view this on, I would say something web-based, but like either like a desktop or a laptop. I don't think on a phone or a tablet you can see those notes on your Google spreadsheet. So you see that DeFranco ab circuit though, if you're on kind of a desktop or a laptop, there will be a video embedded in there. It's pretty much just like an ab flexion routine. It's a total of 40 reps. It's going to be hard to track that in Fitocracy. Some of the movements I don't even know. One's like a toe touch, one's like a V-up. I'm not even sure what you would call the first movement, but it's a pretty simple routine. Again, it's just getting some ab flexion stuff in there. But I do know that's new. The incline dumbbell bench press is new, but again, that's pretty much the same movement as a barbell bench press. And also, as far as equipment-wise goes, I had some questions on like if this exercise, if I couldn't do this exercise because of equipment or because it was taken at the gym or something. Pretty much anything that's dumbbell, it can be done as a barbell or vice versa. You're pretty free to change that. I would go with what I have on paper first, but again, like if you don't have dumbbells and I put incline dumbbell bench press, you can go with a barbell. It's not going to be that big of a difference. So I'd rather you do that than just not do it at all. So for most of those movements, you can make some kind of adjustment. And I do have the and if you have any like if you don't know how to make that adjustment, like okay, what would I do in place of a goblet squat if I don't have dumbbells? Just like send me an email and definitely we can work something out. I don't think we had Romanian deadlifts in. We might have had Romanian deadlifts in, so this is on lower one. Again, the only difference between a Romanian deadlift, a straight leg deadlift, is you'll have a little bit more of a bend in the Romanian deadlift than the straight leg deadlift, but they're not a huge difference. So the straight leg deadlift, you pretty much just have like a slight bend, and you actually won't go down to the ground as far. And then with the Romanian deadlift, there's more of a bend there, so you could probably almost touch the weight to the ground. Or even some of my clients will have them step on like an aerobic step. That way they can get some more range of motion. But again, with any kind of movement like that, you can individualize it, the range of motion, by kind of like your hamstring and your lower back flexibility. So on the Romanian deadlift or the straight leg deadlift, you want to keep a pretty moderate arch in your lower back and then just kind of kick your hips backwards. Cue I give a lot of my clients in person is if like there's a rope tied behind your waist and I was behind you and just pulling it, you wouldn't bend at your knee, you would just kind of fall backwards at your hip. You kind of just hinge at your hip. That's exactly what you want to do with like a straight leg deadlift or an RDL. So as you kick your hips back, you know you're probably going too far, but you no longer can keep that arch. So you have really, really good hamstring flexibility, you may be able to get, pretty much parallel before you have to come up. If you're not, you start to round at your lower back when you're not even 45 degrees, then that's time to come up. So there's not really a universal range of motion for those movements. So make sure you can just hold that arch in your lower back through the whole movement. Then when you can't, it's time to kind of reverse that motion. Staying on lower one, I have a barbell reverse lunge there, but again, if you want to do a dumbbell reverse lunge, that's perfectly fine. Pretty much the same movement. I just wanted to give you guys some more options there. The goblet squat I do have a video tutorial for that as well. That's pretty simple. You're just going to be holding like a dumbbell kind of at your chin height. It's almost like a modified front squat. You can't load it as much, but I like it for kind of a good teaching tool for some people. So it forces them to kind of shove their knees out because the weight's literally right here. You can't really descend in the squat and not shove your knees out because your elbows are kind of run into your quads. So it forces you to really kick your knees out and sit your kind of torso in between your legs. So I really like that goblet squat movement. If you don't have access to like moderately heavy dumbbells, you can probably just do a front squat there. I know you're already doing front squat earlier in the week, but it's a good substitution for that one. The bear complex, same kind of thing there. We won't change that up. The only difference is we're taking down around. So again, this should allow you to go a little bit heavier. We did 5 rounds the first 4 weeks, and now we're doing 4 rounds on this time around. Talked about OHP in upper 2. So I think it's probably about half and half. I try to get a good idea of people's range of motion, but again, without being there, it's hard to really judge how you would do with that movement. So again, with the barbell overhead press or dumbbell overhead press, again, you have to pick your equipment first. If you don't have any equipment, if you don't have access to dumbbells, you're going to have to go with the barbell, or that's just how it's going to work. But again, even if you don't have dumbbells and it causes you pain to do a barbell overhead press, I probably would just scratch it altogether. Close grip push-up is a new one too, but again, that's pretty self-explanatory. Most of us don't have push-up, so again, like a normal push-up, your hands are probably almost a little bit outside your armpits. The close grip push-up, to look like a military-style push-up where your hands should probably be right, almost under your shoulders. I did put AMRAP on that, so as many reps as possible. But again, I talk about this most of the time in the notes. When I say AMRAP, it's not like to failure. AMRAP is just a way to, because again, some people in this group might be able to bust out, 40 close grip push-ups, and some people only 10. So it's hard to kind of program that as a number with body weight stuff like chin-ups and things like that. So make sure you're still having like 1 or 2 reps in the tank, or even something with a close grip push-up, maybe like 5 reps in the tank if you're really good at them. That way you're not burning yourself out for kind of the other movements or risking injury. Also on upper 2, a new movement is the one-arm dumbbell farmer's walk. So again, that's actually not too much different from the normal one. So normal farmer's walk, you're just walking with your 2 dumbbells for a certain amount of feet, dropping it, taking your break, and coming back. The one-arm dumbbell farmer's walk, it's the same thing. You're just going to kind of be working some more core involvement. So say if I'm starting with my left hand, I'll also be holding like an 80-pound dumbbell in my left hand, then nothing in my right arm, so I'll have to be fighting. Obviously, your body's going to want to tilt this way, so you want to kind of focus on your shoulders being parallel the whole entire time. It's going to be a little bit harder. You probably have to actually decrease your weight for a one-arm farmer's walk than a 2-arm if you don't have any counterbalance there. So yeah, you'll just pick up one. What I usually do is I'll actually say if I'm going to go like 100 feet, I'll do I'll start with my left arm, go 50, drop it, and then just come back with my other arm, and then take my break. So that'll be a cool movement for you guys. Lower 2, I think the only new movement is the Turkish get-up. I do have a tutorial on that. It's pretty damn hard to demo a Turkish get-up just online like this. But you will do 5 each way, so what that means is you can do it either way you want, but you want to start in your right arm and then just come up and then down with your right arm up and do 1, and then just do 4 more. Or you can just kind of do 10 if you can really do this. Just go one with your right, one with your left, and go back and forth. So yeah, watch that tutorial for the Turkish get up. It's kind of confusing if you don't do that. Also, if you can't do a Turkish get up, those are damn hard. The kettlebell get up, sit up. And I think that tutorial is on Fitocracy. So it's just, I think it's called kettlebell get up, sit up. That's pretty much just like the first half portion of a Turkish get up. So a Turkish get up, again, you're holding a dumbbell like over your shoulder, and then you're kind of planting your arm, moving with your hip, and then kind of swinging your leg underneath you. With the kettlebell sit up, all you really do, you be in that same position, you're just kind of pressing off that arm and then sitting up and then coming back down. So you're taking the hip portion kind of out of it. And that can be even a progression. So again, this is kind of 4 weeks here. Maybe if you want to start with the kettlebell sit up, get really kind of good at that. Maybe next week do kettlebell sit up again, and you're like, all right, that's pretty damn easy. And then the third week, which would be week 7 for us, then go for a Turkish get up. Or if you even want to progress slower than that, you can do maybe one set of kettlebell sit ups and then Turkish get up on. So just do one set of kettlebell sit ups and then one set of Turkish get ups each week. So again, you can kind of handle some more volume. But that should be a cool movement as well. That's pretty challenging. Then I'll just talk about the conditioning days. Again, these are a little bit different. Again, going with the same theme of the exercises haven't changed a great amount as far as the concepts behind them, but things should be getting heavier these next 4 weeks. That's a pretty good theme you guys can see. So on week 5, you'll be doing 10 reps of deadlifts, taking a small break, and then you'll take some weight off the bar and finish off with some rows and RDLs. So again, as last time, I think on week 1 we did a little bit more metabolic work. This will still be somewhat metabolic. So last week was just kind of like 10 reps, 20 reps, 10, 10, 5. So now you're really thinking about doing 30 reps in a total set and then repeating that 2 or 3 times. So if I were to do this, I'd probably do maybe like a 225 or 275 deadlift for 10. And then I would kind of, again, you can take that break by just taking weight off the bar. That would probably be about a minute. So I would just do like my 275 deadlifts for 10, maybe take it down like 185, do my 10 rows, do my 10 RDLs, then take my break, and then go back to a higher or lower weight for the deadlifts. That's a pretty simple one. Week 6, again, this will kind of be a cluster of work. So we'll start with like some overhead work with the overhead press and the push press. Then you'll take a slight break there. Then you'll actually add weight to the bar to go to like some more squat variations. So again, you'll press, push press, take a minute break, add some weight on the bar, do some front squats and back squats, take another break, and you'll do some body weight stuff with the pull-ups and push-ups. So that'll be a fun one there. Week 7 is pretty simple. It's just a kind of a backwards ladder. So the squat ladder will start with a double. So that'll be pretty heavy. So you'll start with a heavier weight, and then you'll just subtract weight as you go down the ladder. So you'll do 2 reps, 4 reps, 6 reps, and 8 reps. So again, for me, this might be, 365, 315, 275, 225, or something like that. I'll keep it, somewhat. You don't need to get incredibly with percentage work and stuff like that. I would kind of keep it to maybe, a 10% drop or a 20% drop each set or something like that. And then week 8, kind of same thing. This would be a little bit more metabolic, so it's pretty much a 21, 15, 9 setup. And I do have burpees in here. You see my note that I said I'm sorry for the burpees. So yeah, that'll be a little bit more metabolic, and they'll kind of pretty much do the same thing. The conditioning work probably won't get much heavier than this, at least relatively. This is kind of as heavy as I like to get those Metcons and whatnot. And the HIIT sessions stayed the same. Some of you are also doing lists, which is kind of more advantageous to you. And again, that won't really change except for like an individual basis. So those are the adjustments, new complexes. And the last thing I want to talk about, I will be doing a eatthismuch.com tutorial, because several of you on the questionnaire for the first 4 weeks mentioned like meal plans would be a solid addition to keep you on track with nutrition. Again, kind of going the whole flexible dieting approach, me giving someone a meal plan of certain foods that I like to eat wouldn't really be helpful to them. But eatthismuch.com, and again, if you're familiar with this, it's really cool. So in a quick sense, you pretty much enter in like how many meals you want to eat, what your like calories are, macros are for that day, and then you can even get really specific with it. So you can say like what your food preferences are. So if you like Mexican food for dinner, or if you want, you know, anything, I guess. You can also do it by like time, and I'll do a tutorial on this more in depth. But so say if you don't have any time for breakfast, you can put like less than 5 minutes, and then put like the macros you want for that meal, and it'll kind of give you meal ideas for that. And then again, it'll always kind of stay within your daily allotments of macros too, so it won't ever like make you go over. You also have the power to kind of like take things out and drop things in too. So if you're having trouble with like meal ideas or sticking to your macros or even getting close, that can be a good starting place. That'll give you a kind of a whole outlook of days. And again, you're always free to, okay, I don't like cream cheese, take that out, put peanut butter in, and see if it still fits. So I'll do a tutorial on that, but it'll be a really helpful tool for a lot of people that are maybe new to tracking or just need some more structure as opposed to just 100% freestyling it all the time. So that is pretty much that I can remember, at least, all I wanted to mention about the new stuff. So.
Well, it looks perfectly fine for me. Cannot wait to try it. Except maybe the HIIT sessions as cardio. Is it possible to change, I don't know, the bike and elliptical to running?
Yeah, I usually don't program running for people because just in my experience, people don't know how to run at a high intensity. So again, if I just told everyone, okay, I want you to do, 10 100-meter sprints, more people are going to get hurt doing that than it is going to help them, just because like mechanics and stuff like that. If I know someone has like an athletic background, they know how to run, and they enjoy doing it, then yeah, again, with cardio, the modalities are not going to be incredibly important. That's why I don't say like, I give like an elliptical and a stationary bike just because that's a little bit low impact, right? You're not going to have, no one's really should have like knee or ankle issues or something like that on an elliptical. So that's kind of what I default to. But definitely, I would just stick to the same kind of protocol. So for a sprint, that'll probably take, again, it's really vary, but maybe an average person, 15 to 25 seconds to run that 100-meter dash. So probably something in the 100-meter range would be a good like HIIT interval. And again, you can maybe just run like run 100 and then like walk. If you're doing like this on a track, like run 100 and then walk 300 meters. That would probably be like a good recovery time for you. That would make the equivalent of like going all out in elliptical and then barely going, kind of a thing. That'd probably be a good way to do that.
Okay. I used to do them, so those sprints, so that's fine for me because actually my girlfriend right now is missing that I'm not out running with her every morning, so this would be a nice substitute.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. If it's not like hindering your recovery, or obviously it's not injuring you, that's a definitely.
Okay, fine.
Probably, if I'm going to be honest with people, probably a better HIIT session to do that. Because you're not when you're running, you can literally go as hard as you possibly can. When you're on a machine, you're kind of limited by that, resistance, and you don't want to break the machine kind of a thing. There's kind of that weird thing. So, yeah, go for it.
Okay, fine, perfect.
I could tell Jen has a question.
Yeah, I think I told you I'm doing my big road trip tomorrow, so I'm going to be gone for about 2.5 weeks family's driving up to New York State from Texas. And so I won't be working out with weights, but I'm bringing my resistance bands, and we've got some hikes and things planned and some soccer and stuff.
Oh, man, yeah. It'll be fine.
Could I know with me, it's always the big question about the food and the calories. Should I dial it down or just keep everything the same, since I'm not going to be doing any weights and stuff?
I don't know, because again, it's all like an energy expenditure. So you might find that, like you're going to go on a hike and you may not like work out for a few days, but that you're probably going to be expending more energy going on a hike than you would in any kind of workout. You know what I mean? Just because it's going to be so much time. Yeah, it's just kind of difficult. You're obviously probably not going to be able to track as closely as you would be at home. So I would probably just use, hopefully you've been tracking for long enough, you're pretty good at like eyeballing things. I wouldn't make any adjustments to food until, it's going to be 2.5 weeks. That's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Like your first week, excuse me, I wouldn't make any adjustments. And then if you feel like, okay, I'm feeling sluggish, or if I'm actually putting on some weight or something, then again, we'll update weekly. Then I would make some adjustments. But I don't think if you're keeping it if you're going on like vacation in, Hawaii, and all you're doing is like laying on beaches all day, then it'd probably make sense to like, chill out on the food. But if you're traveling and doing a whole bunch of like active stuff, your energy expenditure may not even change that much. And the last thing you also, like, the last thing you want to do on the vacation is like really, really stress about your food intake. So 2 weeks of not being 100% on top of things, in the grand scheme of things, is not that big of a deal. So I'd rather someone be a little bit more relaxed, enjoy their time, and then that way they come back and they're ready to go whenever their kind of break is over, as opposed to, their 2 weeks of vacation is like semi-ruined because they were worried about how much fat they were taking in on a daily basis. So.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
She's like, yes. Eat whatever I want.
I'm going to Buffalo. I'm going to eat a lot of chicken wings.
There you go. I just wouldn't. I think like, I don't know how many ribs I had on Friday. I was like gonna look up like I had no idea. Like I didn't know the macros of like everything. And I was like, I have no idea the macros of like a rib, like a pork rib. I had no idea. And I was gonna look it up, and I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'll be ignorant. It's better not to know. Also, Jen, I don't think I put this in the email, but you're on 4 workouts again this session, this time through, as opposed to starting you off with 3. I think not that it matters for another 2.5 weeks, but you should be fine with that. And I think, this is like kind of for everybody. I have the workout start on like upper 1, lower 1. But if you want to start your week with lower 1, that's not a big difference. So I think someone emailed me about that before. So it's not really, I probably would do them in order. Like I would do the 1s before the 2s, because your heavier work is in the 1s. But if you want to go lower 1, upper 1, lower 2, upper 2, that won't make a difference as far as stronger or losing weight or whatever. So. How did you guys feel about the first 4 weeks, just kind of in general?
I think it's great. I see changes. Like I said, I haven't lost any weight, but I'm definitely stronger. For me, it was a big deal. I went to Sam's Club and picked up, the 60-pound bag of dog food and walked around with it. That's a big deal for me.
People are like, whoa. You're like, yeah, I lift. What up?
Yeah, basically the same what Jen said. I'm getting bigger, stronger, but I'm not losing as that much weight, but at least something.
Yeah, that's I think someone else, forgot who it was, might have been you, mentioned that in the questionnaire, like their clothes were fitting differently, but they're only down like half a kilo or something like that. So they lost like a pound in a month on the scale. And again, it's hard to generalize that because some people were not training at all. Some people were training hard. Some people were off and on with their training. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that several of you guys, if you haven't been training, even if you were training, if you weren't training at kind of this intensity, and maybe if like your nutrition wasn't dialed in and now it is dialed in, you could be simultaneously losing body fat and gaining muscle at the same time. It's not going to be as rapid of a process. So if you're just going to go like, full on huge calorie surplus, try to gain muscle, you're going to gain more muscle obviously that way, or vice versa. If you're in a huge deficit, you're going to lose more fat that way. So you're not going to be doing either one quickly, but it is possible. It's definitely possible to do that. I used to be almost in the camp of like it's like you have to pick a goal. But the more I work with people, and obviously and personally too, the more I think like, wow, it doesn't really make sense from like a physiological point of view, but it's certainly possible. I can't really argue that with anyone. I think over the 6 months, because I got my body fat tested before I went to Texas Tech, which was like in mid-December, before I went to like winter break, and I was, I think 170. I was around like 175 morning weight, and I was at 13% body fat. And this is like on calipers. Calipers are like hit and miss, but I had a professor do mine who's been doing like body fats for like 30 years, so I was pretty confident with his results, I guess, with that. So I was 13% in like mid-December, like 175, and then I measured, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was 11% at like 179. So I had gained 4 pounds over the course of like 6 or 7 months, but obviously dropped 2 percentage points in fat. So even if those numbers are off, even if I'm not that lean, it's still at least they're probably both off by the same amount. So I probably did get leaner, and visually I see the same thing. Like I still can't fill out a medium shirt for the most part, and I'm like 180 pounds. So it's kind of a funny thing. So yeah, that's definitely. It's weird to say that that's like, yeah, that could happen, because I was for such a long time I was like, no, you need to like lose fat or gain muscle, but it's definitely doable. So. Jen just blocked us out.
Sorry, my husband's an ass.
I was like, what's going on? I thought a UFO was coming. Let me see what else. What were the questionnaires? In general, most people who filled out the questionnaires kind of had the same. I think the complexes were a big hit for people. They like the complexes. They like kind of the mix-up of heavy work and also more metabolic stuff, with like a big exercise of the day, and then the rest of the workouts being a little bit up tempo. I know a lot of people had not like complaints, but I think the number one thing, I think 3 or 4 people mentioned about like the time of the workouts. How much time do you guys think that like an average workout, like how long does it take you from like the time you, maybe not warm up time, because that can be kind of variable, like from your first working set to your last working set? Usually how long does that take you?
About an hour.
Yeah, about that.
Okay. That's usually what I go for. You can be a little bit more high intense than that. It's just hard to get a lot of quality work in less than an hour. It's just like, I don't know. So again, you can do, and I think like Jen had this talk, like if you wanted, or someone, I said this too, just maybe like doing your heavy work, because your heavy work might take 20 minutes to just do one exercise, just because it's, you're going to warm up more for that, you're going to need to rest more for that, and all that stuff. So if you want to just do like your heavy work, and then later on or a separate day do like kind of like your assistance work, that can be a good way to like break those up in like 30-minute chunks or something. So.
Well, it got better over time, because first time I was doing the lower one, it took hour and a half and maybe something else, something more. But now I can do it in an hour. so that's fine.
So your conditioning gets up, and then it's and also I guess your movements get more efficient. You probably kind of like have to warm up a little bit more when you're starting to do a row or whatever. Once you get comfortable with it, just kind of like pick your weight and go ahead. So
yeah, also doing the complex for the first time was, I don't know.
You're like, what is this?
A lot of thinking and.
You're like power clean.
Yeah,
front.
right,
Okay,
exactly.
look at your phone. You're like, yeah, we need like a whiteboard you can like write your stuff on and then look at it. So it's not like, CrossFit gyms will do that though. They'll just have like on their wall like random workouts written out. So I'm like, okay, we'll forget it, I guess, that way. Trying to think what else was like kind of the questionnaires.
Sorry, I still have to fill out my questionnaire. I'll get to it.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I figured it. Yeah, I think that nutrition question, like almost everyone put that sample meal plan. So I think that I'll do that eat this much tutorial probably right after this, and they'll probably help a lot of people out. Yeah, a lot of people like just the compound movements, the squats and deadlifts. I think that's a general kind of, even people who don't do that and they go to doing it, maybe like they're afraid of it or they don't have proper form or something. There's something just, again, this is kind of an individual thing, but there's something more gratifying about like picking up 200 pounds off the ground than like doing a front raise. You know what I mean? Like you just have more of like a confidence or it's a weird feeling. So you feel more kick-ass. That's what it is scientifically. Yeah, in general though, most people who have stuck with it and trained pretty hard, I think have pretty damn good results. So a lot of you guys are getting stronger. I did write that article about progressions, kind of talking about trying to add weight each workout. Can't add weight, try to add reps in kind of that rep range. So yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm open to take any questions. I'm free for today. But you guys have any other questions?
Nope.
Questions, comments?
Well, maybe next week.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have these kind of bi-weekly. So that would be the again, I'd like to get different people in here. I've got one different person. But maybe the 19th could be a good day. I figured this Saturday was going to be just like no hope. So maybe the 19th can be our next one. Wait. Yeah, that'd be right. July 19th would be the next one. So that should help some people out.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
All right. See you guys later.
Okay. Bye, Greg.